Welcome back to another episode of Ava's History Podcast. Today's topic is the industrialization of America. And today I'm going to be discussing why the industrialization of America was only beneficial to wealthy business owners and quite harmful to the regular working class, causing society to suffer. Industrialization coincided with the growth of political radicalism because the goal of companies was to make as much money as possible through whatever inhumane means necessary. And the general public wanted change. Wealthy business owners obtained so much power by taking advantage of corruption in politics and using it to belittle the working class, enforcing policies that overworked and underpaid them. I'm going to start with some background on this era. After the close of the Civil War in 1965, the following decades, America rose into an industrial giant. New industries began to skyrocket, including petroleum refining, steel manufacturing, and electrical power. In addition, railroads expanding tremendously. Meanwhile, these new industries can expand and be sold in the most rural of places in this country, creating a national market economy. This new industrial transformation grew our economy and created new class of wealthy owners, a thriving middle class, and increased blue-collar workers. At this time, millions of new immigrants had migrated to the U.S. to join the labor force, making America more diverse than ever. Although this breakthrough was flourishing our economy, the only people enjoying this economic prosperity were the wealthy industry owners. On the other end of the spectrum, with the expansion of machinery, the working class was undervalued and frankly abused. Wages were extremely low for blue-collar workers when they were being employed. And at other times, it was common to be laid off once industries realized they can hire immigrant workers that will do the same job for much less pay. You may be thinking, it's a good time to be a farmer away from these industry giants with bad working conditions. Wrong. Leaders in the economy believed more production equals more profit and pushed for the expansion of farms to produce as much crops and as much meat as possible. Well, this resulted in a surplus of farms and the production of far more produce than we would ever need. Technology and increasing production of crops created more competition and plummeting prices for farmers' produce. Many farmers were forced to move out of the city or to move into the city for better work. Industries hunted profits and consumers lost themselves in goods and new technologies. American Yawp. Industrialization seemed to coincide with the growth of political radicalism after Americans witnessed 25 million new immigrants enter the country as rural farmers decayed and city flooded with overpopulation and poverty. As they watched the working class wither away while industry owners became bigger than life, many wanted change. Radicalism emerged. Radicals wanted the government to address the poverty and inequality brought about by the Industrial Revolution. The belief in radical socialism grew, in which they wanted the government to redistribute wealth to everyone in need, better known as communism. Moving on. As wealthy industry owners like John D. Rockefeller were earning what is equivalent to hundreds of billions of dollars today, they still pushed for labor conditions to be worse in order to make even more money. At this time, the federal government became pro-business, meaning they wanted to make it easy as possible for businesses to grow wealth. So, the economy strengthened. This created corruption between companies and businesses. For example, a company would give a legislator ownership in their company, and in return, the legislator would pass an amendment that gives the corporation total control of their own minimum wage and labor conditions, meaning they could overuse their workers and pay them little to nothing for the work, making upper class richer and the lower class poorer. This is how wealthy businessmen abused their power. Moving on into a more realistic event that gives insight in someone who was around at that time and experienced these bad working conditions. This will be about a man who migrated from Germany into America, hoping for a better future, and it didn't work out very well for him. On May 4th, 1886, the Haymaker riot took place, a protest in support of an 8-hour working day, opposed to the long, restless shifts that many men were forced to work. This peaceful protest spiraled out of control when a mystery man threw a bomb, killing 12. Although there were no clues nor evidence pointing to a culprit, 8 men were tried as organizers of the rally, and all 8 were convicted. 7 were executed. One of them being George Engel, who was able to share his story of migrating to America, the land of liberty, before his death. His story consists of the following. In 1972, he left Germany to find purpose in America. As he had been told, the land that had been praised by so many as the land of liberty. He arrived in Philly filled with joy, hope, and belief in the future, thrilled to be in this free republic and the richest country in the world, but riddled with confusion upon seeing human beings collect their daily food out of mounds of garbage in the street. Later, in 1778, moving to Chicago to improve his life conditions, only disappointed to find out it doesn't matter which city you live in, as a man explained to him. By logic of scientific socialism, how mistaken I was in believing that I could make an independent living by the toil of my hands, so long as machinery, raw material, and etc. were guaranteed to the capitalists as private property by the state. He also learned that free ballot box is a myth, and as long as the working men are economically enslaved, they cannot be politically free. He observed the one man can hoard millions only through the degrading torment and misery of the working class. Engel concluded that as a working man, he is robbed of his rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In conclusion, a thesis to this podcast. The industrialization of America was only beneficial to the wealthy business owners and quite harmful to the regular working class, causing society to suffer. Industrialization coincided with the growth of political radicalism because the goal of companies was to make as much money as possible through whatever inhumane means necessary, and the general public wanted to change wealthy business owners wanted change. Wealthy business owners obtained so much power by taking advantage of corruption in politics and using it to belittle the working class, enforcing policies that overworked and underpaid them.
Hello.
I'm